Let's talk about perfectionism.
Shavinism.
Hi guys, my name is Yaron Shavit and welcome to Shavinism. As you may have noticed, I have missed a few uploads, but I'm now back. I may still miss a couple of uploads because I'm moving house, but as a general, I'm back. I hope that makes you happy. Today I want to talk about perfectionism, and the reason I want to talk about it is because I think sometimes there's a misconception about what it actually means. It's supposed to be that negative trait that you're kind of proud of. Something you say at job interviews when someone asks you what is your negative trait, and you say I'm a bit of a perfectionist, because it implies that you have high goals and you expect a lot from yourself. But I want to challenge that a little bit because I don't think it's a good trait at all. In my personal opinion, perfectionism is not a positive trait, and one that is very hard to be around, and it's a negative, I think it's a negative driving energy. The reason I find it a very difficult trait is for three reasons. The first reason is because it's subjective. It's not a scientific fact. If you're a YouTube creator, what does perfect actually mean? I mean, there's obviously going to be people that like it and people that are going to hate it. What is perfect? If you're designing a house, you know, what does perfect mean? Even if you're sending an email or you have a CV, what does a perfect CV look like? Well, it's subjective because it depends also on the person that's receiving them and their perception of what a good CV looks like. The second reason that I think that perfectionism is not a good trait is because I think it leads one to be constantly unhappy, because perfection can never be reached. And if anything, it makes him feel unsatisfied that he's not reaching the level that he thinks he should, whatever that means to him or her. In that sense, I find it a very castrating energy, or paralyzing. Maybe paralyzing is a better word. It's a paralyzing energy. If you aspire to perfection, and perfection is rarely accomplished, and even if it's accomplished, it's impossible to duplicate, then you're left all the time with this feeling of unsatisfaction and a lot of bitterness, and it's a negative energy. From my perception of perfectionist people who I define as perfectionists, I don't think that everyone that defines themselves as perfectionists are actually perfectionists, but the ones that are, I think they're very unhappy. They never feel content with what they are doing. The third reason I think perfectionism is not a good trait is because it's very hard to be a team player when you're a perfectionist, because you just judge other people by your subjective standards. And so it's impossible for anyone to live to your subjective standards, and therefore it's very hard to be a team player in an environment when you want to enforce your perception of perfect. I hope that makes sense. All this reminds me of something that a drama teacher of mine used to say. He challenged us basically to change the word perfection with the word excellence. And the reason for that is because perfection is the one-time thing. It can't be duplicated, it can't be repeated. Now, when you're an actor, you need to be excellent every night. You can be perfect on a given night, but a show is dynamic. It always changes, every night is different, and so strive to be excellent every night. It'll be different anyway. And life is the same way. You can't measure up yourself to perfection, but you can strive to be excellent all the time. And that's the point I want to make. Strive to be excellent. Whether it's YouTube related or not YouTube related, whether you're talking about your videos or your life, you can always aspire to be excellent. It's impossible to aspire to be perfect. You'll never reach it. And even if you do, you'll never duplicate it. And in that sense, YouTube is a great platform to learn that, because if you're waiting for that one perfect video, you'll never upload. Sometimes I upload things that I see the flaws while I'm working on it. Sometimes it's a little shot that's a little out of focus, sometimes the lighting isn't great, sometimes the sound, you know, whatever it is, there's these little imperfections and little bits that aren't perfect, that if I had more time I could maybe make them 100 times better. But I also have a deadline and I want to upload on a regular basis. So I'll strive to be excellent and I'll learn from my mistakes, and if something was out of focus, I'll go next week and I'll make sure that it isn't, or I'll try to improve the sound. Whatever it is I can do, I'll try to improve the videos. But I understand that perfection is impossible, and if I attempted to be perfect all the time, I would only disappoint myself. And that's the best that I can do. Everything I do, I try to be the best that I can be. Even though, as the cliche goes, I'm not perfect. And by default, that goes for everything I do as well. Now, I just want to end with a related story where I saw an interview with Francis Ford Coppola, and they asked him about The Godfather. And they said, how do you repeat? How do you go back to work after you've created your masterpiece? And he said, you know, as an artist, I can't compare everything to a masterpiece. I think he said something that he doesn't even know what the definition of a masterpiece is, but whatever it is, he's a storyteller. He creates art. He can't compare everything he does to The Godfather. He can only strive to make good stories, entertaining stories, stories that people want to hear and want to see and want to go to the cinema for, and that's the best that he can do. Everyone else can compare the work to The Godfather and rate his movies based on The Godfather. Whatever it is, that's their choice. He, as an artist, can't work that way. I actually tried to find a snippet of that interview. I couldn't find it, but I remember he said it. Believe me, at some point I heard him say something similar. I may be paraphrasing slightly. On any event, that's all for me this week. Thank you very much for watching. If you did like this video and you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for regular notifications, share with anyone you may think that they may find this interesting, and I'll see you on Thursday with Javier de Santos Ferreiro Rodriguez Grandes de los Tres Amigos. Thank you very much, guys.